Welcome to the Royal Daily Tea YouTube channel. Please be advised all of my videos are for entertainment purposes only, based 100% on my own opinion, my own theories, and my own research. All of my information can be found on the public domain and falls under the fair use guidelines. Please feel free to do your own research. Hello, welcome back to the Royal Daily Tea and happy Friday. Friday is always my favorite day of the week because I'm off on Fridays. I call it my freelance Fridays. I get to work on my fun projects and I get to work on my Royal Daily Tea, and of course it sets the tone for the whole weekend. So hopefully you guys are out there getting ready to enjoy the weekend and of course some Royal Daily Tea. So I was watching the body language guy here on YouTube, who's one of my favorite YouTubers. If you don't know, he is a body language expert and he specializes in reading the body language of the royals, especially Harry and Meghan. He is spot on his analysis, very entertaining and very informative. So if you are interested, I will leave a link to his channel below. But today he did a video on the arrivals of the royals to Westminster Abbey. As you know, the Cambridges hosted their Christmas special. I think it was called All Together or Together Christmas Carol. And they saw the Cambridges there greeting all of their guests. You know, Kate Middleton's family was there. Zara Tindall and her husband was there. And we all know that William and his cousin Zara have always been very close and have a really fun, tight relationship. Of course, Kate was standing there looking magnificent. She wore this beautiful red dress that actually was the same dress that she wore to Prince Philip's funeral, except for she got it in red. So I just think she looked absolutely beautiful. But the body language guy picked up on some weirdness, some coldness, some, body language red flags between the royal cousins of basically William and Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. Now, I've always heard that there was a little bit of a rift between the York sisters and the Cambridges, and also the Middleton sisters. Now, that's a lot of tabloid gossip, but I kind of do believe that there is a little bit of a royal rift, unfortunately, happening right now between the cousins. Now, the body language guy, he did pick up on very big clues, and he did a video, and you could tell, and you could definitely see in the video that there's a lot of stiffness, there's a lot of awkwardness between Princess Eugenie, Princess Beatrice, and the Cambridges. Now, there's a very long checkered history between the four of them, and even between Andrew, Princess Diana, Fergie, the Queen, Prince Philip, and then of course Meghan and Harry. There's a lot of weird family dynamics that is happening in that family that is causing the royal rift between the royal cousins. And I know that Harry and Meghan have a little bit to do with it as well. So when I watched the video and saw the awkwardness and kind of like the coldness between them, it was really sad to see. But in all families, there's always going to be some people that you mesh with better than others. But way back when they were children, Harry, William, Zara, the York sisters, they were all very, very close. Now, as we know, Princess Diana and Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, were kind of like besties. I think Diana was the one who introduced Sarah Ferguson to Prince Andrew, kind of played matchmaker, so to speak. They were very close. They were like best friends, always having fun together. Their children were pretty much close in age, a couple years apart. So, of course, those cousins are going to grow up and be very close because their mothers are close and, their fathers are brothers. So, of course, they're going to have, Christmases and holidays and maybe go to school together. So they kind of grow up together in a sense, and they were all very, very close. So back in the late 90s, after the divorce of Andrew and Sarah, Sarah Ferguson wrote kind of a tell-all book talking about her life behind the palace, her life as a royal, and she did kind of share and spill some secrets about Princess Diana that Princess Diana did not appreciate, and they ended up having a falling out. Now, I go over this in more detail in my video, The Fall of the House of York, so if you want to have a lot more background, you could definitely go and watch that video. But I think there was a rift, and unfortunately, around the time of Diana's passing, Sarah Ferguson and Diana were not talking because she wrote that book where she kind of exposed a couple things about Princess Diana, and Princess Diana was very private at that time and she didn't want that exposed. So that caused a little bit of a rift between the ex-sister-in-laws. So that kind of caused a little bit of a rift between the mothers, and it trickled down to the children. It is said that, of course, they ended up becoming closer again, and it wasn't until the time that Kate Middleton kind of came into the fold that the York sisters kind of got a little catty. You know, Kate Middleton came from a commoner background. She does not have royal blood. She was not of the upper crust. Her parents are very self-made, middle-class people who became millionaires in their own right. Her mother was a flight attendant. Her father owned a party favor business. You know, still very, very reputable and successful, but they weren't royal blood. Now, the thing about the York sisters, which I always found a little interesting, I always kind of modeled them after Cinderella's, Cinderella's sisters. I don't know why, but they just remind me of Cinderella's, stepsisters for some reason. Always on the outskirts, but never really invited to the party, never really popular, never really that embraced. And again, they're not going to be in the top 10 in the line of succession. You know, their father is Prince Andrew. He's not the heir to the throne. But in my opinion, Prince Andrew, who was second in line to the throne, he was kind of the Harry of the 80s, as you will. Prince Andrew has always been a little pompous, a little privileged. He's someone who's really loved being a royal prince. Loves the perks, loves the titles. You know what I'm saying? So Prince Andrew is one of the only children from Queen Elizabeth besides Prince Charles who gave his daughters a royal title. Prince Edward, Princess Anne all denied the titles of prince or princess to their children, although the queen was going to gift it to them. But Prince Andrew wanted to make sure his daughters got the princess title, and they get the money from the state, and they get all the freebies and the perks of being a royal princess. Again, he's very pompous, and he loved being number 2. You know, he was Randy Andy, very, very popular. Again, he was literally Prince Harry in the 70s and 80s. Well, back in 2012, when Prince Charles started streamlining the royal family, started cutting off, people who were basically living off of the taxpayers, he had a huge fight with Prince Andrew, letting him know, hey, your daughters are no longer going to receive the Scotland Yard protection. The taxpayers can't keep supporting your daughters, and no, I'm not going to make your daughters senior royals, and they're not going to be paid to be a member of the royal family. They need to go out and get their own jobs, so to speak. Well, that really angered Prince Andrew because, again, he really wanted his children to have the same perks in life that he always had. So it is said that Andrew and Charles kind of had a rift, and it kind of trickled down to their daughters always being a little bit jealous of William and Harry. And then, of course, here comes Kate Middleton. She's beautiful, she's regal, she's popular, she's going to be the future queen consort. She's marrying the number 1, future king of England. A little jealous that they're not going to be working royals. They're never going to be above a certain level. They're not going to be paid to be royals, and now their father has to pay for their security. It is rumored that Eugenie used to say stuff like, well, Kate's just a breeder of royal children. She doesn't have any royal blood, because Kate doesn't have a title. Well, she does now, but she didn't have a title at the time. So there was a little bit of jealousy there. Again, kind of giving me the stepsisters of Cinderella vibes. I don't know why, but I always just kind of felt like these two were very catty, very jealous, very snooty. They grew up princesses. They grew up with silver spoons in their mouths, not like Kate, who grew up in a middle class family. So again, a little bit different. Kate had to come in and kind of earn her wings, so to speak, in the upper crust, and it couldn't have been easy because she was a commoner. So of course she came out and has done a wonderful job. And of course there are a lot of jealous people out there. Kate's always going to be a little bit higher than someone who was even born into royalty. And then, of course, Prince Charles came and stripped them of their security and stripped them of all their freebies and their free houses and said, no, you can go get a job. You're not going to be a working royal. So besides that, there's the whole other thing with their mother. Fergie, who I kind of, again, also have a love-hate relationship with, the Duchess of Det. She's had a couple of scandals under her belt. And again, I won't go into big detail in it. It's in the other video, but she kind of got herself in trouble. And even though her and Andrew divorced, they stayed very, very friendly with one another, but she was never invited to royal events, Christmas, Thanksgiving, because Prince Philip is said to have really disliked her. And then she had this huge scandal the year before Kate and William's wedding, and she was not invited. So I think the York sisters might have been a little pissed at William and Kate for not inviting their mother, because they've grown up their whole life with their mother kind of being on the outs of the royal family. Then they get their security cut off, right? Their dad has to pay their bills for them. And then their mother doesn't get invited to the Cambridge wedding, and he marries this commoner who's not of royal blood, who's now of a higher stature than they are. So there's some bitterness here happening between the royal cousins. But now the big kicker, of course, is Prince Andrew and that whole mess with Epstein and that trial. Well, it is known that basically Prince Charles and Prince William have cut ties with Prince Andrew completely. He has lost his royal patronages. He is no longer a senior member of the royal family, and there was rumors they wanted him to give up his huge house. He has this huge 20-room royal lodge. I believe it belonged to the Queen Mother. And, him and Fergie live there in this lavish lifestyle. They're not working royals. They're living there kind of sucking off the taxpayers. And Charles is like, you know what? No, you can't keep doing this. And now there's this huge scandal with Epstein. It's not a good look. The girls have moved out of the house. They're both married with children. So why does Andrew and Fergie, why are they living in this huge estate that I believe the taxpayers are paying to keep up the maintenance? So again, Charles is trying to, cut ties with Andrew. They're basically trying to hide him, from the public view because he's a disgrace. They cut, the royal budget. And here he is and his ex-wife just sucking on the taxpayers, living in this huge amount of wealth. It's ridiculous for two people. So it is rumored that Charles wanted to get rid of that house or give it to someone else or sell it, and kind of kick Andrew and Fergie out of it. So of course the York sisters are mad about that. And then of course the whole trial with, their father and Epstein Island. Again, William has made some comments saying that, he considers Andrew a risk. He's an embarrassment. You have to remember that Prince Charles and William are the two future kings. They are the two future heirs. They have to preserve the royal family. They can't have people like a wild uncle who's out there and related to a person who's done some horrific things that we won't get into, but we all know what I'm talking about. So you know what I mean? They literally need to get rid of him. People do not want to see this man in public. Okay, he is a disgrace. And unfortunately, that's their father. So they have to be extremely bitter right now at William, at Catherine, at Prince Charles, because their whole life, their mother has been treated like a second-class citizen. Now their father is, of course, going through the court of public opinion and this horrific child, case that's happening with Epstein Island. Then they're jealous of Kate. And then there's the whole Harry and Meghan debacle. You know that Princess Eugenie and her husband Jack Brooksbank are very friendly with the Sussexes out in Montecito. You know, every time Harry flies into London, he stays with them over at Frogmore Cottage, which used to be his house. He doesn't have to stay there. He could go to Buckingham Palace, Kensington Palace, Windsor Castle. I mean, there's 50 different residences he could stay at, but he always goes to Frogmore Cottage, where Princess Eugenie and her husband live. You know, Meghan, when she was on the Ellen show, talked about that infamous Halloween story of how, oh, they snuck into a Halloween party, the four of them, and we weren't recognized, even though nobody would have recognized Meghan. You kind of let that slip that, oh, we're friends. Well, you know, Harry feels like he's been erased from the royal family. He's estranged from everybody. So, of course, every time he comes into town, he's going to stay with Eugenie, not because it's convenient, but because that's his only lifeline. It's a way to have someone who's not really happy with the family. So now, you know, the two birds of a feather kind of flock together. So I think Meghan and Harry have kind of weaseled their way in, and they have some allies in Princess Eugenie and her husband Jack. And then, of course, her sister Beatrice. It would make sense that they're aligning themselves with the Sussexes. So you got Team Cambridge, Team Sussex, right? And of course, Princess Eugenie and Beatrice aren't happy with Charles and the Cambridges, how they've treated their mother for years and now their father. So there's a lot of animosity there, a lot of jealousy. So I think there is a huge royal rift between the cousins, and it was very obvious in that clip. If you watch the way he hugs Zara to the way he greets Eugenie, it's extremely awkward. It's extremely awkward, and that's his cousin, someone he's known his entire life. So what do you guys think? Do you think that there is a royal rift between the cousins, and do you think that Princess Eugenie and Princess Beatrice are Team Sussex? I think there's a lot of, you know, weirdness brewing behind the scenes of this family. Very interesting. Leave me your comments, guys, down below. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. If you would make sure you have the notification bell on and like, share, and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. Also, I'm trying to get to 5,000 subscribers, guys. If you could help me reach that goal by the end of the year, that would be amazing. And when I get to 5,000 subscribers, we're going to have a huge giveaway as a special thank you from me to you. Please make sure you check out royaldailytea.com. I will be updating my blogs as well as working on some new merch for you guys. Thank you and have an awesome and blessed day.